Good morning, Shu Jing. How are you today?
Hi, Beth. I'm good.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm good also. Thank you very much. Shu Jing, you had a very intriguing professional history. You've worked in many cultures. And I understand that now you're doing some very powerful cross-cultural work. I wonder if you could tell me what you think is most important in the work that you do with people, trying to get them to better adapt to working across cultures.
In cross-cultural work, just like any other type of development work, I think the most important thing is to help people to raise their awareness to things, to people, to surroundings, to culture, to everything. And often it starts with themselves.
That's interesting.
Yes, so it also has to do with self-management and how they get in touch with their own senses and knowledge and thinking and feeling everything. That's the approach I usually take instead of just feeding in what's from the different cultures. They need to explore that themselves, understand that themselves, experience that themselves.
That's really fascinating. So you start with kind of knowing who you are before you can be in relation to anybody, no matter what culture they're from.
Of course.
Yeah? At
the end of the day, all cultures are different, yet all cultures are the same. Just like people. Everyone's different, but then there are parts of us that are the same.
Can you share with me a little bit, how do you get people to be self-aware? What do you do with them?
I let them do reflection, partly, and also by sharing experiences, by observing and participating, not only in training room settings, but also outside. So it will be a journey into themselves, within the group of fellow participants, and then outside into the real world. For example, in my cultural training, say it's in Beijing, China, then I will always suggest to the participants that perhaps it will be a wonderful experience for them to get up bright and early in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and just go down to the local park and join the crowd and see, know, understand, and experience what they're doing in their life, in this part of the world that is so different from their own, but yet maybe they will see and collect the similarity in that experience.
So if I went to the park in Beijing, what would I see?
You would see tons and tons of people of all age and gender, form and shape, doing all kinds of things, whatever they feel like doing. There are people doing Tai Chi with their body. There are people maybe doing Tai Chi with swords. There are people kicking. There are people just shaking their hands. They may be dancing, either a village peasant dance or aerobic, or sometimes cheerleader dance. And then you realize it's not necessarily just Chinese. It's something Western or something universal across the board. And then a lot of the time the visitors mingle and really want to stay there. And they feel the warmth and the welcome and the enthusiasm from the local people. They feel the acceptance instead of the resistance. They feel taken in, and that's very enlightening.
That's very interesting. I know, Shu Jing, that you lived in New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over 10 years.
Yeah. What would you do if you were taking a group of Chinese people from Beijing into New York? Where would you take them to have the corollary of that experience?
I would probably take them to Soho to see what the artsy atmosphere is like through galleries, through museums, and then also to jazz pubs. Like there are tons of them. And also go to Broadway and see the river and see lots of things. And I think the most intriguing thing, no matter where they go, would be to watch people, just to be with the people there, observe them, and just experience being with them. That's where the greatest learning will be coming from.
So that's interesting. So part of how you would get people to be self-aware is to encourage them to kind of be in relation to the place where they are.
That's one way of doing it. Yeah.
And to observe other people and notice what comes up for them.
Observe, but also participate. Be involved.
Okay, so really be involved in the other space.
Right.
Yeah.
Entering into whatever they had the desire to understand, instead of being outside of the realm of it.
When people are able to work with you, when they go through a program with you, what do you notice changes in them?
I notice that they become softer, and they become more collaborative, they become more tolerant, compassionate, empathetic, and then toward the end, more and more aware.
I had an interesting experience being able to observe you to work with a group of people. And I noticed when you were working with them on their presentation skills, that you weren't actually talking much about presentation skills. Can you tell me more about that?
And if you remember, you might recall that I also did not critique them.
Yeah, I do recall that. Why is
at
that?
all. But I gave praises. I also request and encourage the class, the fellow participants, to give each other praises and support. And they also have the chance to put in their suggestions, but I call it opportunity for improvement. But I ask them always to focus on the praise. When a person self-critique or to give himself feedback, and when others give him or herself feedback, it's always positive. Because I believe the support, the recognition, the focus on the positive qualities of a person, whether it's in a presentation skill training or in any other situation, is utmost important. Nothing more important than that. Because they actually know what they're not doing right. But very few people recognize what they're doing right.